Hello friends, welcome back. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about how to create an image chooser in our Android application. So many times we come across some requirement where we want user to present a file manager so that user can choose an image or some file from that, and then we can use the reference of that file to work further in our Android application. So in this tutorial, we are going to implement an image chooser in the same way. We are going to use an activity contracts to accomplish this task. So activity contracts is an advanced version over the deprecation of on activity result. It does the same thing. If you have two activities and we are launching a second activity from first activity with the intention that when this activity will be closed, we will get some data. That is, we are launching the activity in intention to get some result from that activity. And here that activity will be a file chooser, that will be file manager. So in this tutorial, we will be first learning how to implement activity contract in a custom way, and then we'll implement the same logic in our file chooser. So let's get started. So here I am in an empty project where I have just done one thing. I have added a one button here. That button is saying launch second activity, and yeah, I have given one ID for that, and that's it. It is just a button. So on click of this activity, we'll be launching a second activity. So at first we'll be learning about how to create and implement that activity result contract in our application. So for that, we are going to create a new class for that. So right click on this Kotlin class file, my activity contract. Yeah, and we'll be extending this class from activity result contracts. We'll be using this version, and in the bracket, if you have seen, there is there are two values we need to pass, I comma o, that is input and output. Let's say we are launching one activity. Here is one main activity, and let's say we will be going to create a second activity. So we want to pass the data from main activity to second activity. We generally use intent for this purpose. But if we want some data, if we are sending some data to that second activity, and second activity will be taking that data, processing on it, and then after closing of that second activity, user will be navigated to the main activity again, and there it requires the result of whatever the operation performed in the second activity. For this purpose, we are now going to use activity contracts. So you will get a clear idea about as we will be going to implement it further. So for input and output, we are going to implement it on both as a string, and we'll call the constructor on this, and we'll click alt enter here to implement two methods here. So there are two methods, overridden methods, we need to give implementation of here. First one is a create intent, second one is a parse intent. Let me create another again activity, new activity, empty views activity. I'll name it as second activity. And yes, second activity has been created. Now if I in this, what I am going to do, from this main activity, on clicking on this button launch second activity, I'll be going to launch an activity with for some data passing using intents. But I'll be not going to create a custom intent. Instead, I'll be using the activity contracts here. So here on create intent will be first called. So here I have to create an intent instead of directly creating. So here I'll create an intent, val intent equal to intent, and for this intent we need to pass two parameters here. First one is a context, so we can just take this context, and for the second activity, which where we want to go, I'll name it as a second activity, double colon class.java. Yeah, this is our intent. Now we want to put some uh, extra params, that is put some string data to be passed from main activity to the second activity. From that, so where can we get that data? We'll be getting the data from here, input string. We'll be going to see how we'll be passing that data from the main activity to this method, so that we'll get it here. But for now, let's assume that we have got this data here. So put extra, I'll put one string. There is a just key value pair here, so I'll put one key as a key input, and we'll put a string data as an input. Sorry, not intent, input. Yeah, input. And as we have declared the input and output both as a string, we have already here input data coming as a string and output data returning as a string. So these methods are automatically generated according to whatever type we have declared here. It passed automatically. And after this putting this data, we just want to return this intent, because this method is returning the intent. So we have created the intent, we have put the data here, and now we want to return this intent. So I'll just write the return intent. So that's it. This method is complete. Now I'll go to main activity to show you how it can help us. So here I'll first create contract, val contract equal to, and here I need to use register for activity result. Here it accesses two parameters. First one is a context of activity result contract. Sorry, not context, contract. Activity result contract, that is a class which we have just created, which is inheriting from, which is extending activity result contract. So I'll just call this class here my activity contract, and here in the second parameter we get a callback. So for this callback we will be automatically getting the data. So what data will be getting? Let's say, as I have just said, that in the second activity, from the second activity we will be getting some data. We are launching the second activity from main activity in an expectation to get some data from second activity. So that data we will be getting here in this callback. You can see here it colon string. So this is the actual data. And let's use a log statement for that. I'll use a log d. Here I'll say check activity contract, so that we'll be able to check this in the logcat. And here in the data I'll just pass it. So this is the result data from the second activity. Don't worry if you are not grabbing it fully yet, because when we are launching the application, I'll put a breakpoints here and will show you step by step how the flow is working. Now we want to launch the second activity from main activity. So here, and on the click of the button, so I'll find the view, find that button. What is the idea of this one? Button second activity. Okay, r.i.btn second activity dot, I'll set an on click listener on this. And now I don't want to create a specific just create an intent explicitly and then jump onto second activity. Instead, I want to go through this activity contract approach. So for that, I have already created a contract here. So I'll use this same contract, and one method is there dot launch. So in this launch, we are it is asking us our input. So this input which we are receiving here, which we will be logging here, with the input we are receiving here, that we need to pass here from the main activity. So I'll just write input from main activity. Yeah, we have provided the input, and that's it. Now I'll just click on this button and we'll be navigated to the second activity. And the second activity will have this input data, because the second activity once opened, this activity contract will send this intent to the second activity. So I am in the second activity. So let's check here if we got the intent. So this is the key input. So as I am logging output here, I also want to log the same input here. Whatever the input I have passed from main activity to second activity, I am going to print that in the second activity. So I just put the same tag with the log statement here, and instead of this it, what I will do, I will click get on intent. If you hover on that, you can see that it is the returns the intent that started this activity. So main activity has started this activity, and we are getting this intent from whatever we launch from the main activity. So intent dot get string extra, and here we need to provide a key. So key will be same I will be using, which we have used in our main activity contract, and that is a key input. So I'll use the same key. Here it is showing an error because of null. So I'll just assert it. So the error has been gone. Now here we'll get whatever the input we have passed here. Now let's say we clicked on the button from main activity. We have launched the second activity. The intent came here, and the data we got in the second activity from the main activity using contracts, and we have got this data here. This is data we got. Now we also want to send the data back to the main activity, because we have launched this second activity in order to get some result from the second activity. So let's see how we can do that. For that we also need to do a very small thing. We also need to create one intent here. Val intent equals to intent. This will be basically an empty intent. So here we'll again pass intent dot put extra. So here I'll create a key as a key output, and we'll pass a data. That data will be of string type, and I'll again pass a statement same like this one. Here we have written that input from main activity. Here I'll write output from second activity. Output from second activity, yeah, this is the thing. And now how we can send this intent to the to this activity contract, so that uh, it should make our result visible to the main activity. How we can do that? So we have one method that, sorry, not here, set result. In this set result we can just pass this. There are two things here. Result code. So result code is basically a code. If we have multiple activities launched from a single activity, then in order to uniquely identify it, we have this result code. So we don't need this result code in this. So in this case, so we can just pass a 100, because it is a compulsory value. And here it is a data which is of type intent, so we can pass this intent. So we have come in second activity, and we have set the result with this extra data. Now this intent will be received in the activity contract. Here we are getting two parameters. One is result code and second is intent. The same parameters we will be getting here after we exit from second activity. So here we just want to include the logic, so that whatever data we have got here, we should return it, so that the data can be catched by the main activity again. So we can just return intent dot get string extra, and we have to use the same key, that is key output, and I'll assert it as a not null with this question mark. And yes, it will come here. It will get the data, and it will return the data in the form of string. So here, after again the main activity, we will be receiving the data here in the it, and we will be logging the data. So now let's run our application and see how it is working. I'll show you step by step. So here my application is running, and here is it is screen at launch second activity. Before clicking on that, I have copied this tag check activity contract and pasted here in the logcat so that we should be able to see the responses. So on click on this button, I just click and the second activity has been launched here. We haven't written anything in the second activity, that's why it is showing as blank. And as soon as we have clicked, we are able to see input from main activity here. So how did it happen? We have clicked on this button and this button has launched this contract.launch with this input data, input from main activity. Now it has gone to here and run this code. Now what this code is doing, this code is creating an intent from current context to the second activity, so that the destination path will be second activity. The second activity will be launched, and by putting the extra data as the key input and putting the data which we have already received in the input, whatever data it has received. So this data it has received here, and that data it has put in this intent, and it has returned this intent and return this intent to the second activity. So on clicking on the second activity, onCreate method has been called, and here in this lock statement has been reached, and in this it has we are printing the intent dot get string extra with the whatever the string we want with this associated with this key input, and the string associated with this key input is input from main activity. So we have received this input from main activity. Now let's see what happens if we click back on this from this second activity. I click the back, and again we are seeing one entry here, that is output from second activity. So how did this work? Here, as soon as we have reached to the second activity, we have already created an intent with some extra data as a key output, and the data as an output from second activity, and we have set the result for this activity with the result code of 100 and the data as this intent. Now as soon as the activity is finished, second user clicked on back from the second activity, this method of activity result has been called, this pass result method has been called, and in this method we are getting the same parameters. First one is the result code, that's value will be 100, and second one is the intent, that's the same intent which we have created and set the result in the second activity. So here it is getting so here we are returning that intent dot get string extra, and this get the string which associated with this key, that is key output, and we are returning that data, and whatever the data we are returning here in the main activity, we are getting that data here in the register for activity result. And here it colon string, this will be, this is the actual data which we have received from the second activity, that is check activity contract, this is the tag, and this is the actual data, and this is the actual data which we have seen as output from second activity. So let me now attach a few debuggers here so that you will be able to understand this much clearly. Okay, now I'll attach a debugger here. I'll first clear this logcat, and I'll attach a debugger here. Okay, debugger has now attached. Now you will be able to see how the flow is working. So here we are at the main activity at the starting. Let me maximize this. We are at the main activities at starting. So I click on this launch second activity button. So as soon as I click on this button contract listener has been called in the main activity. So contract.launch has been called. So I just continue from here, and the control came here in the my activity contract class. Here it came, the control came inside this create intent method, and this whole code is being executed and the intent is being written. Now again I click on continue. Now the control has gone to the second activity because we have launched the intent with the intention to launch a second activity. So here it came across this log statement and get the data with this key input. So I'll just it will print the data. I'll just click again on continue. Now it executed all this code in the second activity, it has created the intent, put the extra data, and call the method set result with these values. So I am again clicking on a continue, that is resume program. So the control is finished here. Now the control will again start appearing when I click on back from this second activity. So I just click on back button, and the control automatically came inside this parse result method inside this my activity contract class. So after clicking on back from the second activity, the control has been came to the intent.get string extra with this key input, and that is it is extracting the value, whatever the value we have set from this set result from this second activity here. And after the control came here, I again click on continue, and the control came here in this main activity in this register for activity result, and the callback which we have got. And in this callback we will be printing this data whatever we have got as the result of second activity. And if I click on continue again, we are here. And if we check our logcat, then we are again seeing these two entries: out input from main activity, output from second activity. So I hope this activity result contract is now clear to you how the flow is working. Now one part of the tutorial is finished. Now we are you are able to understand how this activity result contracts works. So here now we will be going to our main approach, main aim, that is how to create a image chooser. So in the second activity we will be creating. For that, I'll just pick one image view here. So I'll constrain it with some margin, and again I'll put some button here to upload the image. So I click on this one and constrain it here, and constrain it as a top from the image, and we'll give a image as again 32. Okay, and I'll rename this button as a upload image. Again I'll upload button, upload img. Okay, and it is an id automatically generated image. Okay, that's fine. So after clicking on the image upload image, the file chooser will be open, and user will be able to select the image, and that image will be set in this image view. So this logic is now very simple. With the same concept contracts, now we have created a custom contract here, but Android system has already pre-created some contracts which we can directly use. So in this second activity, I will not manage this code, we'll keep it as it is. So we'll create again one contract that will be activity, contract. Okay, here we activity result contracts dot, sorry, first we'll try register for activity result. In this we need to send specify a contact here. For this we are going to use a pre-installed contract, activity result contracts dot get content. Here is one contract, and in the same way we'll get a callback, the data via callback, and the data will be getting, that will be a URI. That email URI will be a URI of the image. So how we can consent that? So now after we get the data, what we'll do, we'll can take find view by id, that is image view r dot id dot image view, and we'll set image URI to this it. So whatever the data we get after the user selection, after user selects the image, the activity gets disappeared, and the control again comes to our second activity, and the second activity has now the URI for that, and we'll be setting the URI to our image view. So the image will be visible here. So on click on this button, we'll be launching this file chooser activity, btn upload image dot set on click listener. In this we'll be launching this contract. The same we did as in main activity. Contract.launch, and here input. So what input data it requires? So we'll pass the input image slash star. So any type of image can be chosen. Only image can be selected via this chooser. So that's it. This is just thing we need to do. And let me relaunch the application and see how it works. So our application has been launched. I click on this launch second activity. The second activity contains this thing, upload image. I'll just click on this upload image, and yes, the file chooser has been opened with the aim to choose one image, whatever the image user like. So I'll choose this Technopoints logo. I'll just click on this, and after coming back, the image has been set here in the image view. Now I hope you have already understood how this flow is working. Still again, I would like to explain how it is working. It is working the same way that we have studied earlier from the main activity to the second activity. Here we have just created this activity contract. Here we have custom created, but here we are using the already created this activity context dot get content. This get, if we go inside this get content, we are able to see the same two methods, create intent and parse intent. So these are the same two methods that it is using, and sending us the result. So again, here it is also launching an contract with this activity result contract dot get content. And here after clicking on launching of this contract, it is taking input as the image slash star. That is, we want user to select images of any type of extension. That's why slash star is here. And uh, after a user chooses the image, the control again comes to here. And we are in this, what we are doing, we are using this URI and using the method set image URI and passing this URI inside it, and the image has been set. So this is how the image chooser is working with the help of activity contracts. So this is how activity contracts work. I hope that is clear to you. I have tried my best to explain with step by step with the debugger how the flow is working. If you still have some doubts, you can just put your doubts in the comment section below. I will try my best to answer those. And it has a lot of implication, and this is the most modern way to choose an image, because it doesn't need any permission, because we are just dealing with the URIs and activity contracts. In the later on further tutorials, we'll also see how to take the image from the camera and how to again upload the image to the server. That all we'll be seeing in the next tutorials. So if you like this video, then please click on like, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe this channel so that we will be stay updated with every new video published. We'll meet in the next tutorial with some another interesting Android topic. Till then, goodbye, happy coding.